Alright, YouTube, here's the last battle that I played tonight, or not the last one I played tonight. I played a bunch of battles tonight. I'm playing against RTK Broad Street Bully. RTK, I think, is Roundtable Knights, and one of the guys who did the commentary with me the other day, Majutsu, is in RTK, and he's an excellent player, and I know that there's quite a few very good players in this clan, so and I was definitely feeling like I was going up a very worthy opponent here. So I can think of several of the RTK players that I wouldn't have a chance against probably, unless I did a little creative thinking. But in any case, this ought to be interesting. So what I came into this battle thinking that my opponent's probably going to have better micro than me, so I picked an army that would hopefully be suitable to this. I also picked a cavalry heavy army because I know that a lot of the RTK guys like to play cavalry heavy. So I brought a cavalry heavy army to help me counter. So what I've got is 3 good cavalry, a couple of my better Yari Cav. Let's take a look at them here. So that one's level 3. I've got a level 4. Never mind, I didn't bring my great Yari Cav, I don't think. Yeah, a level 3, level 4, and then I think I've got a Fire Cav here. Yeah, I do. So I brought the Fire Cav because it has, I think it has an aura. Yeah, it does. You can see that the Fire Cav has a little aura circle like my general, so that helps your guys fight better. Plus, it's a very tough Cav unit. I think it's even better than Great Guard in some ways, just because of the cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel my Fire Cav off to block this direction. My opponent's got some Light Cav, and this is very typical of RTK too. I see it a lot from him, and it's a good move if you use him right. I'm going to go ahead and charge in onto his Light Cav, and he's got a Fire Cav also. And his got a better charge on mine right there, so I'm going to be in some pretty rough shape. I did go ahead and charge my Fire Cav on into his general, and then I charged all my Yari Cav in over here. Really way too much blobbing up over here. I should have kept one of my Yari Cav to assist over here. But you're going to see that I'm going to kind of get into a fight here with him for a minute. My Fire Cav does pretty well considering how badly it's outnumbered. It's still racked up like 60 some odd kills at this point. Even damaged his general's unit pretty good. And my Yari Cav are doing quite well over here against this Light Cav and his Monk Cav. But there's spear support incoming, so I'm only going to be able to stay in this fight for a little while longer. My Fire Cav just routed. I've got Patchy over here to try and support my guys as well. I'm going to have to pull out of this fight, which is okay. It's actually okay to pull Yari Cav out of a fight sometimes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull Patchy back, and then I'm going to also, and you can see too that I was running for position on this hill, but he's going to beat me there. He might be using Yamabushi Guide or something, which helps him get there faster. Look, I pulled back my Yari Cav, because you really shouldn't leave these guys in sustained melee. And then I'm going to turn around and countercharge my opponent again to try and get another charge bonus because his guys were following me. So that's one strategy you can use, is pull out and countercharge. So if your opponent's clicked an attack order, if they're not quick enough to micro out of it, you can actually get some benefits. So you can see that I'm killing his cavalry quite badly over here. And then my opponent makes a micro mistake here, moves too far forward, and his Nodachi Samurai gets hammered by my Matchlock Samurai. So that was something I did on purpose. I'm trying to kite my opponent back off the hill. Here I pull a mounted samurai out of hiding, and this is going to keep my opponent from being able to capture this sword dojo very quickly, and I can just run away if he charges me with the Nagi attendant, and all the while, hopefully these guys will take some bow shots and get some kills. So it's kind of a handy unit to bring. They have a little bit higher bow damage than Bow Cav, but they're a lot fewer in number, but they're a little bit better on the melee attack, and they're cheaper too. So you can see I'm just going to run them around for some disruption, and I'm going to kite my army back. I didn't do it too wonderfully, but I do manage to kite back, and here you can see that my mounted samurai kind of disrupting his forces. At least that's the idea. I did leave them really close to that matchlock, which was a bad idea, but now I'm going to run them back down in here and try and do some work on this sword dojo. Again, try and keep him from capturing it too quickly, because I don't want him to have that advantage. You can see that the Cav fight ended up being a wash. I was able to kill his Cav, he was able to kill my Cav. Since he didn't have a mounted gunner or a Dunderbuss, I was okay with that exchange, because infantry-wise, I'm feeling pretty good about my ability to win this fight. My opponent has 2 matchlock units. I have 2 matchlock units. It's pretty well balanced. Now here is where I do make a mistake. I forgot this matchlock unit was there, and I totally throw away my mounted samurai. That was horrible. This could have been such a helpful unit for me in this fight, but instead I make a just terrible mistake. Alright, so as far as infantry goes, I'm using, and here, right here, I came back and set up my matchlocks, and just kind of meat shielded with one Nodachi just to drive my opponent back for a second, but he's got some matchlocks that are setting up in position too. And his guys are 125 range, so there's good and bad to that. The good for him is that he's got this extra range, and look, he's going to hammer my Nodachi in return. The the bad thing is that's cost him more money, and my infantry is just straight up stronger than his in this case. He's got a Nagi Samurai too, and look, he's got even more melee defense than me. I'm not sure how he's getting that extra melee defense. If someone knows what retainer that is, let me know. He hasn't captured the what do you call it, the, let's see, yeah, Naginata Samurai. He's even got increased charge on him. I didn't know you could do that. Maybe there's some retainer he's playing or something. If you all know what that is, let me know. I'm curious to know because I love Nagi Samurai, and anything that can boost them up, I'd be interested to see it. So my opponent here has a range advantage now. Both of his units are 125 range matchlocks. That's why they're level 5, 4 upgrades, and then he hits a 5th upgrade to get the range advantage. Now his shots are going to be a little blocked there for a second, so I'm going to wheel up, take some shots at his matchlock, try and reduce their numbers. And then, of course, I'm going to run. I think I let this matchlock get killed. In fact, I've got to run this one away and bring in my Nodachis to support. Yeah, I let this matchlock get killed, which is a mistake. Now, check this out. I'm going to run Patchy around one flank. I noticed that Patchy had better attack than his general, plus his general's already taken damage. So his general's not going to be able to stop me, and his cav is dead. So I'm going to use my general here very in an interesting manner. I'm going to charge my Nodachis through my Naginata Samurai because I want my Nodachis to be the biggest part of my offense, and then I will move in my Naginata Samurai second, and there's a reason for that. Naginata Samurai have a lot of armor, and in a fight where units start to get tired, armored units do very well because the armor defends them regardless of their stamina. So even if the guys are exhausted or completely exhausted, the armor continues to protect them against enemy attacks. So it's a very useful trait. So that's why I like to move my Naginata in afterwards, because as sword units start to tire out, they'll just start to drop like flies to Naginata units. So look, Patchy's getting these guys to turn around. My opponent has to turn around, or else Patchy's going to kill these guys easily. Or kill his general, which is now in stand and fight. So I keep his matchlocks turned away from the fight, which allows his guys to not support. And then look, that positioning of my matchlock monk allowed me to, just gave me just enough room, you can see that line of sight there, to shoot his general. So his general's in stand and fight. They become vulnerable to arrows and matchlocks. Matchlocks, it's hard, but if you get the position, it'll work out just right. And here you can see that his general is just going to sit here and start soaking up matchlock rounds, and it's going to rout. His infantry had to charge across the water, which left my guys in a slight hill advantage and a better situation for the fight. His infantry was quite tough. Mine was a little better, though, because he had a little more money invested in these matchlocks. And look, Patchy's keeping both of these matchlocks at bay because he's so worried about them getting charged. And he has to be worried, because if he turns his back on him, Patchy absolutely will kill them. And here you can see that his guys are out of position, so I am going to charge in. These guys turned back around, so I knew that this charge from Patchy would be safe, but he's bringing in Nagi attendants, so I have to get out. I should have charged straight over into these matchlocks. I do make a little bit of mistake and head back up the hill, but since these guys were faced away, it works out. So you can see that I've completely won the infantry fight at this point. My Nodachi Samurai have caught these Nagi attendants. Now my opponent's in a conundrum. He has to face forward to shoot my infantry, which means Patchy's going to be free to charge him from behind. So at this point, I definitely have the battle won. I think what my opponent could have and should have done better here was to exercise his ranged advantage for a little longer. He definitely had a range advantage because I threw away that mounted samurai. His guys had 125 range, and his matchlocks would absolutely mop the floor with mine, and then I would have had to charge across the water, and then I think the results would have been quite the opposite. So great game to my opponent. It was fun to get to play against these guys from RTK. Hopefully I'll get some more games against them in the future. I like the way they play. It's interesting. I felt like I was pretty fortunate to win this one with some of the mistakes that I made. But my opponent made some mistakes too, and I was able to capitalize on those, I thought, fairly well. But it was a relatively close battle, and I thought relatively well fought. So let's go ahead and move out to the statistics screen, and I'll show you the statistics, and I'm going to call it good for this video. Sorry I was away for a while, like I said, but, you know, hey, business is business, and family first, of course. But I've got plenty of YouTube action planned for you all. Again, don't forget to let me know what you want to see in the live video Tuesday. And some of my folks who are out in Europe and stuff, you'd be like, we can't join in because it's going to be too late at night. Yes, I'm not telling you to stay up on school nights and stuff like that. Or, I mean, if you don't have to stay up for school, then sure, stay up and watch them here. But of course, you know, it'll be recorded to YouTube. You can watch it afterwards. And then what I'll do is I'll make sure and do some live events on the weekend too, in which fans from all over the world have a better chance of being able to join in. And just tell me some live events that you'd like to see, and I'll try and get it set up for you. So there's the results screen. My opponent brought a bigger army than me. My guys were a little higher quality, and then it ended up paying off because of the way things worked. Nodachi Samurai did very well. You can see that's just a level 2 Nodachi Samurai. You don't have to rank those guys up a long ways to make them effective. Again, another level 2 Nodachi, very cost effective. These Nagi Samurai, again, I use them for their armor and the way they handle things. Look at my Fire Cav here, 77 kills before it routed, even though it was in a terrible position. Fire Cav are just very tough units, and the best way to kill them is with matchlocks. They have a lot more armor, and I think that's what makes them tougher. Take a look at my opponent's troops. Look at what his Matchlock Monk did. So this is why I'm saying he should have exercised the range on these guys. This is a very tough unit. With 125 range, and me having no way to answer that, these guys could rack up a lot more kills than that even. And his Matchlock Samurai, same thing. These guys definitely got grossly misused. If he would have moved them up closer to that river, of course, the only thing I could have done was kite back, but he could have just captured both of the dojos and forced me forward. That range advantage could have been very deadly. The cavalry fight was a wash. You can see he brought 3 light cav. I think what he should have done was just ignored the cav fight with his light cav and started chasing after my infantry with his light cav, and that would have made it almost impossible for me to micromanage my matchlocks, and he probably could have killed my matchlocks early on too. So light cav is a great unit for a map like that because, for instance, he could have just ignored the cav fight, charged up and over the hill, and completely stopped my advance and disrupted my army. And if he loses those units, they're cheap, and it's totally worth it. So in any case, this was a fun replay. A lot of interesting stuff we could go through here. Hope you all enjoyed it. Heir of Carthage, signing off.